Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Battle Inside podcast. My name is Chris America. This is my podcast documenting journaling. I can never say that word right. All right. You know what I'm trying to say. Documenting, journaling, um, joining me on this adventure to better my mental health, better my life, better everything about me. And it's been an interesting 2 months doing this show. It's had a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of people have questioned why I'm doing this show. A lot of people, more so, have praised me, told me I was brave, told me that I've helped them out, told me that I'm courageous, and that I'm really doing a good thing. Most of the people that don't like my show, excuse me, are people who are mentioned on this show that have hurt me, and they don't like their business being brought out to light. And I totally get that. There's nothing wrong with that. Um but the freedom that I have now today is the freedom that they need to have. The freedom that all of you listening need to have. The freedom that I'm experiencing right now because of this show is I'm living my life out loud now for the first time. And there's been a lot of times where I've come on the show and I've doubted that. You've heard it. There's still a lot of that lingering fear that I've always had that's always paralyzed me and held me back. That lingering fear of being raw, being open, being honest, being human. And this new level of honesty has been freeing for me. And a lot of the reason why it's been freeing is because now nobody can use really anything against me. Nobody can hold anything over my head. Nobody can try to say, Chris, you did this, and so I'm going to tell everybody, or you're a bad person because you did this. I mean, obviously, if I've done something wrong, I'll admit to you that I'm a bad person. And the way that I take away that power, though, is that I do recognize that I'm a bad person, and I've come on this show and have said, look, guys, I screwed up, and this is how I screwed up, and this is how I feel about screwing up. And if I have an answer as to what I'm going to do to make sure that I don't screw that up again, I'll give it on the show. But a lot of times you've heard me say, look, I know this is the wrong way to look at something. I know this is the wrong way to do something. I need to work on fixing that. First, let me start off the show. I'm not an expert. I'm not a counselor, a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I don't have any mental health background. I'm not a life coach or a crisis counselor or any of that sort. I have no certifications. This show is about me, my life, my mental struggles, my struggles with handling things that happen to me, my victories, my power and will to overcome things, my victories. Did I ever say that? Yeah. It's about me. And it's also about people in my life that come and do things to me that I react to them. And no, I'm not trying to throw dirt, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody's name, but other people's stories intertwine with your own stories, right? Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad. And so I've talked about a lot of things. I've talked about my sister and my brother-in-law. They're both fine with it. Because I know they're fine with it, and they're okay with me sharing that story. If they weren't okay with it, I would try to find ways to share the fact that I've had people in my family battle with addiction, and this is what it did to me and everything else. Because at the end of the day, I know that they are free from that. They've apologized to me for what they did to me, and it's been made right. And so if they're not comfortable with it, I'm not going to speak about it. There are people like my dad, whom, whether he was alive or dead, um, he's lost the right to not have me publicly say the shitty things that he did to me. He's lost that right. And I feel everyone who has been wronged in a harmful way has the right to express that anger and that hurt and that pain however they feel they should. And everybody in society should agree with that, because that is the right of a victim. Victims have rights, and we need to give more rights to victims, whether it's a victim of a crime or victim of just really crappy people and really crappy selfishness. We as a society need to stop excusing the abusers and the liars and the cheats and all of that, and we need to give rights to victims. Now, with that said, I also want you victims to know and to realize that there is a line that you have to walk, right? And there's ways of dealing with your anger and your pain and your hurt that are healthy, and there's ways of dealing with your pain and your hurt that are unhealthy. And for those of you that this is your first episode, I'm not going to give too much of a background story. Just go back and listen to all the other episodes. But this is going to piggyback off of my last episode. And I want it to be abundantly clear to those who are victims, and that there is a healthy way and a very unhealthy way, and that there is a fine line. Okay? You can be angry, and you can be vindictive, and you can be hurt and express pain and all of that other stuff, but you have to walk a fine line, and that's what I've been trying to walk, and that's what I've been trying to balance with what happened to me, which was basically I was emotionally cheated on, left for another married man, and he did nothing to stop it. He made up lies. There were friends involved that encouraged this behavior. There were friends involved that saw this behavior and did nothing about it, did nothing to be in my corner, and nothing to be in my son's corner or her son's corner to say, you're being self-destructive and stop. And so there's a level of vindictiveness that I had in sharing everything that I shared on my last episode. There is no doubt about it. Look, I came on this podcast, the very first episode, and said, you're going to hear me. I'm going to open up my life. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be candid. And I'm going to be as honest as I can be. And you're going to hear me talk about some good things about myself, and you're going to hear me say some bad things about myself. And I'm going to make a commitment to myself and to you, the listener, to be as raw and open and candid as I can be, the good, the bad, the ugly. Because this new freedom of honesty has honestly helped me out in a tremendous way. Because now it's better for me to be honest and open about my faults and my shortcomings and my mistakes, because that allows other people to help me out instead of me just trying to figure it out on my own. That's the one thing. The second thing is it keeps me in check a lot of ways. I don't want to do anything that makes other people think bad about me. A lot of people say, Chris, don't care about what other people think. And to an extent, I think that's true. But there's two extremes with that mentality that we've taken on as a society here in the United States, and I can't speak for other countries, but our country, our culture right now tells you to don't care about what other people think. You do you and all this other stuff. And that's great to a point, because thinking and worrying about what other people think about you also keeps you in check. It keeps you in line. It keeps you from being an a-hole. It keeps you from being a terrible person. That mentality of saying, I don't want people to think ill of me, that hopefully, for the most part, keeps us in line. And we need to have that healthy balance of still wanting to not upset people, not wanting to hurt people, and to not wanting to do things in our life that make people think terrible things about us. Now, there's the other extreme that I have on the other side of it, because there's the coin where you don't care what other people think about you, so you do whatever the hell you want. And then there's that other side of the extreme, which is where I am from time to time, where I worry too much about what other people think about me, where especially those in my life that I care about, people like my ex-wife, people that are close to me. I want them to like me. I want them to love me. So I try to put on a show and try to be somebody I'm not. And that's not healthy either. So you have to find that balance. And so I had mentioned earlier, I started this rant earlier with vindictiveness. Yes, there was a piece of vindictiveness in what I said in that episode. There is no doubt about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But I walked that line because my main objective for that episode, my main point for that episode was that I wanted to release my pain. I wanted to share what happened to me. I wanted to be empowered in my pain. I wanted to gain control of my pain. And the way that I had to do that was to bare my soul to the world. And that's how I felt like I needed to do it. And once I did it, after that episode, I can tell you the last 24 hours has been spectacular for me. The loop that I made mention of, for now, has zero power over me because I conquered the loop by saying, this is my insanity. This is what's driving me mad. This is what's driving me crazy. And now I have people in my corner saying, wow, Chris, I knew you were going through a hard time. I didn't know it was that bad. And now I'm getting more and more confirmation from people that this had nothing to do with me. Even though I knew it, even though other people in my life have told it to me, it's now that I've shouted it from the rooftops to say, I'm taking a stand against these people who harmed me. And this is how I'm choosing to take a stand on this hill. And I'm willing to die on this hill. I really am. I looked at all the possibilities that this could be a backlash on me. I looked at ways that my ex can hurt me. I looked at ways that her friends can hurt me. I looked at ways that Juan can hurt me, whether it's legally by suing me for slander or anything else. And I decided, no, even if I get sued, even if my ex finds ways to just royally screw over my life and find ways to hurt me financially or whatever way she wants to, whatever way any of these people want to, I will die on that hill for it. Because the amount of freedom and the amount of joy and the amount of just finally having that weight lifted off of my shoulders, finally having that loop stop completely for 24 hours for the first time in 2 months since this all started going down, is worth every single bit of punishment, backlash, or penny I might have to spend on this. With that said, that was my main goal. Was there vindictiveness of it? Was there a part of me, in the back of my mind, was there a part of me saying, man, I hope that these people feel the punishment and pain and karma that they deserve? You're damn right I did. You're damn right I did, because I'm human. If I were to sit there and tell you, no, I don't want any of that for them at all, completely, then I need to be checked in. Because then I'm not human. And what all of you need to realize who are involved in this, all of you who took part, I'm not wrong for feeling that way, and I'm not wrong for doing it. I am right. Because you wronged me, I am right for feeling like you should be hurt. Now, I'm not going to exhaust my life trying to get back at these people, and that is where the line is drawn. That is where, when you try to be vindictive, becomes a harmful thing to you. When you're exhausting your life and your power and your will to make their life miserable back. When you're spending every waking moment trying to make their life hell. And I'm not doing that. I spent 2 hours letting it out, and that was it. After that episode was over, I was done. I felt great. Once I hit post, even though I was super nervous about it because I was worried about the backlash, I still felt great about it. I'm not going to go out of my way to find Juan and call him out and ask him to get into a fight. I'm not going to go to different running events and hold up signs that say Juan's a cheater and you shouldn't go to his business. I'm not going to go to different events and say Jen's Jen's a lying, SOB, and you shouldn't be friends with her. I'm not going to do any of that because I don't have time and I don't care to. I did this episode for me. I needed my voice to be heard. I needed my freedom. And whatever collateral damage comes from that, I really don't care anymore. It's none of my concern. Because like I said in the other episode, all of that collateral damage, while yes, it's my fault that it got out. But the reality is the root cause of the problem is you. You're the problem, not me. And you need to realize that. You don't need to focus on me. I am not the issue here. You attacking me and backlashing at me, or you wanting me to take this episode down and everything else to help save whatever shame you have. Look, I get it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, if I take that episode down, if I apologize for what I said about you or what I said to you or anything, or if you attack me and you try to make my life a living hell and you do whatever you can to get back at me for publicly exposing your mistakes to everybody, you're still not helping yourself. You are still the cheating shitbags that you are. And your life is still going to be hell. You getting back at me, let me tell you this. You will be on that same vindictive side that I mentioned, that unhealthy vindictive side. If you want to be mad at me, that's fine. Express your anger towards me. You can do that. I get why you would be mad at me. It's understandable. I totally get it. I will look at you and say, but you should really be mad at yourself, but I get it. At the end of the day, you still need to be mad at yourself. And so, with that said, lost track of where I was going with that. Yeah, so if you attack me and you're being vindictive, you're basically going to be trying to fill a bucket of water with holes in it. And that's what you've been doing with this cheating aspect of your life. All of you who I mentioned on this episode that are cheating or doing things with married people that you shouldn't be doing, and anybody that's not involved in my life, there are hundreds of you listening to this show. Chances of a lot of you being cheaters or have been cheaters once in your life are probably pretty good. And let me tell you that life of you cheating and trying to get those funds and your jollies off and your kicks and your giggles and whatever it is you're looking for through your life of cheating, it's going to be like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. And you trying to attack me, and you trying to disparage me, and you trying to come at me for what I said about you that is true. Nothing I said on this podcast yesterday or the day before that is false. And you know it, and I know it. Because I'm not here to slander anybody's name. I'm not here to punish people or put anybody down. I sent a message to someone in the running group, or not her exact running group, but somebody in the running community who asked me for the raw, unedited, uncutted, the raw recording, the first one that I did. And I told her I wanted to be clear to her and everybody in the running community. And I will be clear to Jen, and I will be clear to everybody listening to this. I have said from the get-go that I want Jen to get help. That I understand that this goes deeper than me and my relationship with her or anything that has to do with what I've done or what she's done in the past relationship. This is a deep-seated problem that she has, that she's trying to fill a bucket with holes in it, and she's just constantly trying to fill it, whether it's through running, whether it's through this cheating aspect of her life, that she's been doing it for a very long time, and she needs help. And I told the friend this. I said, look, I don't hate Jen. I don't hate Juan. I don't hate the other two people I mentioned in the episode. I am angry with them. I am extremely hurt by them. And part of me wishes they would feel some of that pain. Because again, I'm human. But what my main strong desire for them, and for anybody listening to this podcast who cheats on their wife or cheats on their husband, or they're single and they're going out and they're hitting up with married people as well and sneaking around behind somebody's back, what I want you to do from this episode is I want you to not be mad at me, not be mad at the people in your life who exposed your cheating. or any of that stuff. I want you to realize, one, cheating's not okay. It is unhealthy for you. It is unhealthy for your family. It is unhealthy for the other people involved. It is not okay. It's not. And what I want the running community to do, and why I wanted to talk to the running community, and why I was angry with her core group of friends from the start, is I want them to love Jen through this. And by loving somebody through something like this, that doesn't mean just saying, I'm here for you, I'm not going to judge you, you do whatever you want, you do you, I'm not going to not be your friend no matter what. No, that's not loving somebody. That's enabling somebody. That's enabling that person through their addiction or through their problems. And what you're really doing is you're just letting her perpetuate the deep-seated issues that she has and the deep-seated issues that you have if you're also one of those friends that are cheating or being a cheater or sneaking around with married people. You are perpetuating the problem by watching it happen. And I explained to this friend, all I want is number one, I want Jen to get help. I want her to not only get help because apparently she's going to therapy, but the therapist can't help her if she's still lying to herself, if she's still telling herself that she left me because I was messy and, we just weren't right for each other. Anybody who hears our story knows that that's a bold-faced lie to herself. We aren't together anymore because she wasn't adult enough to stop herself from cheating, to get off the interstate when she should have, and we're not together anymore because she chose another man over me. She chose a fling. She made a choice to end her relationship so she can pursue this thing with this man. There is nothing more. There is nothing less. And she has to figure out why she did that to a guy who was good to her. Because whether I'm right for her or not, the reality is I was still good to her, and she treated me like garbage. And that has nothing to do with me being right for her or not. That has everything to do with who she is, what her main issue is, and what her main problem is. And that's for everybody that cheats. And what I was getting back to, sorry, I keep getting off track. I want the running community to love Jen. And by loving Jen means you guys need to look her in the eyes and you need to say, we know what you did. We know you are a cheater. We know you have a pattern of cheating. We know that twice in your life you have gone after a married man, and we know that you have befriended the wife so that way the wife doesn't think twice about you, or for whatever disgusting reason you have for befriending the wife and being all smiles and happiness in front of them while sneaking behind their back to sleep with their husband or to make out with her husband or whatever it is that you're doing with her husband, whether it's flirting, making out, having sex, doing whatever, doing the Charleston together, whatever it is, it's not okay. We know that you do that, Jen, and we love you, but you need help. And you need to figure this out. You need to stop living your life this way. You hurt Chris, you hurt Landon, and you hurt your son. You tore your family apart because you did this, and it's not okay, and you need to realize that it's not okay. And you need to go be honest with yourself, and you need to go get help, and we will be here to support you through that help. We are here for you as long as you're going to get help, as long as you're going to be honest with yourself. As long as you're going to be honest with us as people who love you, we will be there for you. But if you can't, and I said this to them, but if you can't, if you want to continue living your life this way, if you want to continue to feel like you can do whatever the hell you want with whoever you want, and it doesn't matter who gets hurt in the process, as long as you have that mentality, I'm sorry, but we don't want to be around you. And that's not because we're being mean. It's not because we're judging you, but it's because you're a toxic person. And I don't want you to lie to my face and befriend me, and then I have to, watch out for my husband when he's around you because you have a habit, you have a tendency to where if you want my husband, you're not going to care about me or about my family. You're going to pursue my husband whether I like it or not, or whether it hurts me or not. As long as you're that person, no, I don't want you in my life. But you need to stop that mentality. And I would say the same thing to Juan. Juan, I don't know you, dude. I really don't. And you never once, you talked to her about like, well, maybe you can get him to convince him to like, have a threesome with us, or maybe he can hook up with my wife, or like, we're in this open relationship, so maybe we can do this, that, and the other. You know what, Juan? If that were the case, you should have messaged me. You should have come to me like a man and said, hey, bro, this is kind of what I'm interested in. What do you think? And when I tell you, nah, I'm not interested in that, you should have been like, that's cool, bro. Guy code. I'm backing off. Sorry for your woman's beautiful. Your woman's nice. I see why you're with her, but I'm backing off. But you didn't do that, did you, Juan? No, you didn't. Jen talked to me yesterday. I tried not talking to her, but I got sucked in. And one of the things she said is, Juan doesn't deserve this. I didn't pursue Juan, or he didn't pursue me. I pursued him. And I told her straight up, Juan is not a child. And I don't mean to get political or get on some like societal soapbox, so even though I have been kind of this whole episode, but I am so sick and tired of women either getting the blame or taking the blame for cheating with a man. Like, us men are so dumb and so incapable of making good decisions that when our dicks are hard, we can't help ourselves, and it's the women's fault for making our dicks hard. No, stop it. You both are responsible for what went down. You both did not care about my feelings, about my son. You didn't probably care about your wife's feelings. Because the reality is, Juan, I don't know if your wife knows. But every single sign points to she doesn't. And if she does know, then your wife needs to know. And I'm going to talk to you too, wifey. I don't know your name. But you need to know what your husband's up to. And you need to know that if you took part in this, then I'm angry with you and I'm hurt by you, because you're just as guilty for allowing your husband to do that, for not telling your husband, this is not a good situation for us. I know we're in this open relationship, but we're not here to ruin other people's marriages. We are here to have fun with either like-minded people or people who are consenting to that. And my message to you is the same to Jen. Don't come after me. Don't worry about me. Spend your energy and time and money in a therapy room. Spend your energy, time, and money in a marriage counseling room with your wife. Because it's not my fault that you made the decision to pursue a married woman. Whether she messaged you first or not, you made your choices too. You said, go after what you want. You helped out that situation. You tried to play off the game of like, oh, I'm trying to be nice and understanding. You should go talk to him. But then coming back with whatever flirting shit you were coming back with. And when you knew that she was messaging you with me on the other line, you tried to play dumb, you tried to play stupid. But the reality is, and I have no way of knowing this, but I'm willing to bet, based on the fact that I'm good at reading people, I'm good at reading situations, and I can put puzzle pieces together, that you two were texting on a separate line, letting you know that I am not okay with this, and she's trying to figure out, and you rode along with it. You went for the ride. And not once did you approach me like a man and say, I am sorry, Chris. I fucked up. You didn't. That's what you have to live with. And you need to go get help and figure out why it is that you made those decisions. And the reality is I have no idea, Juan, if this is your first go. If this is your first go at it, you have some crap luck. You picked the wrong wife to mess around with. You picked the wife that has a husband that's extremely tentative to his wife, that knows his wife inside and out because he cares about her, that knows every single detail about his wife. He knows when she's happy. He knows when she's sad. He knows when she's lying. He knows when she's whatever the feelings are. You picked the wrong wife if this is the first person that you fooled around with. Because I caught you guys early, and it wasn't hard to figure out. You didn't pick a wife where the husband doesn't give a shit about the husband doesn't give a shit about his wife. You didn't pick the wife where the husband doesn't pay attention to his wife, doesn't listen to her, doesn't spend time with her, doesn't ask about her friends, doesn't ask about what's going on. You picked the wrong wife, dude. You picked the wife with a tentative, loving, caring husband that is intelligent to these kinds of things. That when he sees something going wrong, he knows it, And because I made a commitment to myself to always be honest, I shared that honesty with her where I was, and it led to you guys being found out. And you didn't once say, shit got hairy. I didn't mean to mess with your relationship. I understand we got caught up in flirting. Let's get off at this next exit. I'll go my way, you go your way, you go work on your marriage. You didn't make that choice, and that's where you fucked up. You guys went down this rabbit hole. You knew the rabbit hole was wrong, and you kept going, and you kept going, and you kept going. All of you did. All of you sat there and you watched this happen, unfold in front of your eyes, and only a few of you took the moral stand to say, this isn't right and you need to stop. And those who did, Jen just trashed them out, just threw them away. And then the rest of you that watched her throw that person away, man, I'm even more mad at you for that because, like I said, like you guys know me. I'm not super close to you guys, but I've been around. I've been nothing but nice to you. But the person that you watched her just completely dump because she got called out for her BS, that's what I'm more angry about because you are close to that other person. And that person's been nothing but nice to you guys. Nothing but nice to you guys. And you picked her side. And that's where I'm going to explain more into detail why I'm mad at you guys. Why you guys entered my story. Why that guy that you hang around with, that I don't know if he's cheating or not. But what I do know is he brags about cheating all the time. Or not cheating because he's single. He brags about sleeping with all these married women. The inside joke of you guys is don't look through Dave's phone because he has all these naked pictures of married women on his phone from all the different running communities. I know of the ones that you guys know personally. You personally know a woman who is in your running community who is married who is sending this person nude photos. And why I'm bringing that up is because it's a grand scheme of what you guys are cultivating within your core group of friends. You guys cultivate an acceptable, you cultivate a culture of acceptance of cheating. You guys accept cheating as okay. And you've lost friends over this person crossing the line, and you've always chosen the cheater. Whether it's Jen dispelling the one good friend from your group or not talking to her anymore and making her feel like she can't come around your group anymore because Jen is cheating and Jen left her husband and left her a stepson so she could go be pursuing another man. You sided with her over the friend who did nothing wrong to anybody. And when the guy that I'm talking about sent you his naked and afraid running video and all the other, like a couple of husbands found out about it and they lost their S, understandably, because here's another man sending a naked video of him to his wife, and they decided they needed to leave your core group of friends, you kept that guy around instead of saying, look, dude, you've overstepped the line too much. You've hurt our closest friends. You need to go until you get your S figured out. No, instead, you let good people inside your group leave. And they have rarely been back. You made them so uncomfortable. Your little culture and accepting society of cheating has left several people within your group so uncomfortable that you lose them as your friends. And they don't get to hang out with you guys anymore. They don't get to run with you. And I'm angry because that sort of acceptance let Jen know it was okay to do what she did to me. And that sort of acceptance let her live that life out loud. She was telling you guys exactly what she was doing, and none of you called her out because you just accept it as normal and okay. And in this conversation I had with Jen, she said, why are you bringing that guy into it? He had nothing to do with it. And I tried explaining to her what I just explained to you. And she said, everybody cheats. And that is the culture that your group of friends cultivates. The everybody cheats mentality. Do a lot of people cheat? Of course they do. But it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it acceptable. You have to look at those people in the eye, just like I told this other friends, and say, look, I love you, but you need help. And if you don't go get help, you need to get out of my life because I don't keep toxic people in my life. You're the one that has to go, not this best friend that you just kicked out, not these other women whose husbands found out that this guy inside your group, the only guy inside your group who buys you things, which, by the way, that's called a grooming process. That's what guys like him do to get women to sleep with him, is he grooms them. And that's why I was never comfortable with this guy in the group. And Jen knew it. I said, I don't like him because I know for a fact that if you gave him the green light, he would sleep with you. Without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. And he's going to sit there and shake my hand and smile and be nice to me when I know that if any of you in that group wanted a piece of him, he would say, let's go. He wouldn't hesitate. He would take it. And I don't want that kind of person around me. I don't want that kind of person around my wife. But because I tried being the non-jealous boyfriend or husband eventually, and the trusting one, trying to lean on trust, I said, okay, like, I trust your judgment. I'm trying not to judge him. I'm trying not to be judgmental. But this isn't about being judgmental. This is about right and wrong and what's toxic and not toxic. And the people you are around is who you are. Show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. And now I'm going to come to my last part of this show. One of the things Jen threw in my face yesterday, she threw a lot in my face, and a lot of it was so hypocritical. Oh, we need to act like adults. Really? Now, after 2 months, you want to act like an adult. This whole entire time, you've been making choices of a 17-year-old, and now you're telling me to act like an adult. Another thing she threw in my face, think about Juan's employees. Juan's employees are not my responsibility. Juan's employees are Juan's responsibility. If Juan didn't want to ruin his employee's life, then he shouldn't have been a cheater, and he shouldn't have pursued somebody else's wife. And chances are, this is not his first rodeo. And if it is, again, like I said, Juan, sucks to be you, dude. Maybe this was the wake-up call you needed so you can go get help and stop yourself from continuing down this path of a shitty lifestyle, of being a cheater, or going after married women, whatever the case may be. This whole thing right now that's happening to you is a blessing in disguise. Whether you want to see it or not, that's up to you. But you have a chance to become a better person now. You have a chance to become a better man. All of you do. All of you that I'm talking about. All of you have a chance to become better people. And so, another thing she threw in my face, what was it? She said, I can't believe after 3 years, I didn't know I was married to such a crazy person. Wait, what? So, because I'm expressing my hurt, because I've been so up and down, for the fact of everything she did to me, right? I'm sitting here, and everybody's telling me that I've handled this like a champ. And then I think it's funny because she says, after 3 years, I didn't realize you were this. This whole time I've been thinking, man, I've been with her for 3 years, and I didn't realize she was such an unstable, selfish person that runs over anybody and everybody in her path to get what she wants. I had no idea how bad it was. And again, she's lost all this power over me now because I've empowered myself. And now I'm starting to see that everything she says to me to cut me down is a self-reflection of herself. She has to say something mean to me to make herself feel better about how shitty of a person she is right now. And I told her yesterday too, and I've told her this many times, look, you are a shitty person right now. You have made so many bad choices, and you have reasons beyond reasons that I can't understand. I'm not an expert. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. You have to go figure out why you're doing the things that you're doing. But I believe that deep down inside of you, there is an amazing woman. Deep down inside of all of you, deep down inside that guy who I've just trashed all over, deep down inside Juan, deep down inside the friend, all of you have an amazing person deep down inside of you. You have to kill that selfish, evil piece of shit other part of you, and you have to kill it without prejudice. And you have to bust your ass to make sure that you've killed it so you can bring out that great person inside of you. And I've told Jen that thousands of times, and I believe she can do it. I believe in her, and I am rooting for her. I care about her. My whole thing of saying this right now is not to cause her pain. Like I said, is there a part of me that like likes it and thinks about it? Of course there is. I'm human. She hurt me. All you hurt me. But my overwhelming feeling is that I want all of you to get help. That is who I am. That is the message that I've said at the end of every single one of this podcast. If you can relate to me, if you can relate to Jen, if you can relate to Juan, if you can relate to this other guy in this group, if you can relate to the best friend, whatever it is in my story, my hope is that somebody at some point sees themselves within what I'm saying, they self-reflect, and they get help. And they change their lives. Now, 2 things that Jen told me yesterday, and they're not prompting me to say it, but they are and they aren't. One, and it just goes to show that she just doesn't, it's actually 3 things. She just doesn't understand. She doesn't get it, and she doesn't want to get it. She cannot understand the concept of what I'm doing right now. She cannot understand the concept of this show, because one of the things she asked me is, what is your end game? What do you want? What can I do to take this podcast down? What is it that you're hoping for? And I was like, look, it is clear you don't listen to me. It is clear you don't listen to the podcast. And if you do listen to it, you're not listening to what I'm trying to say. I have no end game with this. Whether Juan's business continues to boom and he decides to continue to cheat and he lives the most lavish life he could ever happen and Carmen never comes his way, I honestly don't care. And if it ends up backlashing on him, or whether it's from me or from another relationship that he spoils and somehow it comes back to bite him in the ass, I still honestly don't care. Yes, there's that small part of me that hopes that it happens, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not spending my nights and weekends and my days figuring out ways to ruin his life, because my focus is on me and my life. I said all of the things that I said in that episode to give me the freedom that I desperately needed, to give me the freedom that I desperately desired. I had found out or figured out through my therapy that one of my biggest issues with my child abuse is I never had a voice. I never stood up for myself. I never said, I was the victim. This is what happened to me. This is what it made me feel. And I just never had that. And I've done that my entire life. And so finally it came to a head through all of my therapy to say, damn it, I deserve a voice. I deserve to be heard, and I deserve to have my pain heard. My end game, and I told her this, my end game with this is to get better. My end game with this is to find freedom. My end game with this is to build my self-confidence, and I'm not building my self-confidence through their destruction, because I'm not even checking on them. I'm not asking friends about what's going on. I'm not doing any of that stuff because I don't care. If Jen never called me or texted me, it would have made no difference to me. I do think about it, but I don't, obsess over it, because it's not what I'm doing. I'm not saying these things and then being like, oh, let me see what's going on over here. Let me see what kind of drama is being caused. No, I'm doing this for me, and I made sure I spelled it out clearly for the rest of the running community so that, one, they can love her and tell her to get help, and they can understand why I've been saying this whole entire 2 months to get help, and so that they can protect themselves and they can protect their families. Because all of you people who cheat and lie and backstab and connive and accept that kind of behavior, you are toxic to other people. You are not okay to other people. You are not healthy to other people, and other people have the right to know exactly who you are when you have nothing but ill intentions. We all have the right to know who the cheaters and the liars and the backstabbers are, so we can handle you accordingly. So we can make a decision for ourselves of whether or not we want you in our lives and how we want you in our lives. You're the one that has chosen to be a cheater. You're the one that has chosen to accept this lifestyle that you live that is not only socially unacceptable, but it's morally unacceptable. There is nothing right about cheating. Nothing. And then another part of things that she said to me was that you paint yourself to be this angel on your podcast. And that's how I knew that this wasn't a true, honest statement. This was let me try to cut Chris down and see what I can bring up. And she brought up 2 things that I had already said on the podcast that I had already done. First, she said, you act like you're this great father, but when I first met you the first year, you were very unattentive. And I said back to her, I was like, that clearly shows that you do not listen to this show. Or if you do, you're not listening intently. Because I have said multiple times on this show, and I will say it again, I have been a shitty father a lot of times. And I'm about to get into one of the biggest ways I was a crappy father here in a minute. But the fact that she's bringing up the unattentiveness, Guys, raise your hand if you've heard this before. I have said, because of my depression, I was not a attentive father. I missed out on things. I wasn't good. And I recognized what made me not good. And it was my depression. And it was my anxiety. And it was my fear of failure. And it was my fear of my son turning out to be like me, and I didn't know what to do. And I have no unhindrance, or whatever word I'm looking for. I have no doubt in my mind that I was a shitty father for that. I should have been better. And I believe I mentioned that in my regrets episode. I do regret doing that. I do, with all of my heart. And what did I say about what I'm doing to hurt that or fix that regret? Is I'm going to therapy, and I'm recognizing my depression, and I'm doing what I can to get control of my depression and to get control of my life. And then she brought up the fact that I have cheated as well. Yes, you heard that right. And I said it at the end of the last episode. I said, you're a shitbag because you're a cheater, and I've been a shitbag before. And just so you know, if you didn't listen to the last episode, I coined the term shitbag for those who cheat. And I said, I was a shitbag before in my life. I recognized I was a shitbag. I decided being a shitbag is not worth it. And now I'm no longer a shitbag. I took means into my own hands to correct my shitbaggery. And I didn't want to go further into that, not because I was ashamed of myself, but because, again, I didn't want to share out a story of somebody else's life if they didn't want it to be shared, because they were the victim. And the last thing I'm ever going to do is share a story about somebody that I've victimized without their consent, because I'm not going to victimize them again. And so I texted that person, and I said, would you mind if I talked about the fact that I cheated on you on the podcast? And she said, no, I don't care. And the person that was Landon's mom, my ex-wife. And I'm going to go deep into this because, like I said, this show is about me being raw and me being open and me being candid and me being honest. There's a lot of times where I don't say things about me because, again, it's kind of like with her. I didn't want to bring up the fact that I cheated on Landon's mom, not because I'm trying to make you think that I'm this perfect angel that never does wrong, but because I don't need her to be going about her workday and a friend hears that I cheated on her, and for her friends to text her and be like, oh my God, I didn't realize Chris cheated on you. And now she's like, why are you discussing my business on the podcast? And why now she has to relive that hurt or that pain if she still has it. Landon's mom and I is the longest relationship I ever had. And we were really good friends, and we hit it off right away, and we started dating, and it was right after my first divorce. And this is why I should have gotten help so much longer before, is because I had so many things, so much baggage that I brought into that relationship that just was not healthy for her. One of the reasons why I stayed with her so long is because I never wanted to be hurt again, and she was safe. I knew she wasn't going to leave me, and I liked that about her. But unfortunately, our relationship we weren't right for each other. And I mean that wholeheartedly, and she knows it, and I know it now. And I think I was battling depression, and I had my traumas and everything, all the baggage that you guys know about, my sexual abuse and all of that other stuff. And she has stuff that, like just with Jen, I'm not going to speculate or air that out as to what could or could not be, because I don't know. I'm not an expert. But there were issues on her side, too. And so we had a very, there just wasn't any chemistry, really. And sex was an issue in our relationship. And so the way I dealt with it was I decided I'm going to be a shitbag. And everything I'm going to tell you right now, they are reasons, they're not excuses, and there is no excuse for it. And there are no good reasons. They're all bad reasons, right? So I'm going to be clear with that. I'm not saying this so that way you can feel sorry for me, or you can excuse me, or you can say, well, that's a good reason why I understand. No, there's no excuse for it. There are no good reasons. There are unhealthy reasons. Let's leave it that way. I was making unhealthy choices to battle my traumas and unhealthy things. And I've said before on this podcast, one of my biggest downfalls, or one of my biggest ways that my sexual abuse trauma affects me today, is I associate sex with self-worth and love. And because our relationship didn't have much sex in it, and when we did, it was just very vanilla, I felt unloved, and I felt unwanted, and I felt unneeded. And so instead of being a mature adult and either going and getting counseling or just saying, look, we're just not right for each other, we're not compatible, there's no chemistry, we need to go our separate ways, instead of doing that, being a mature adult, I became a shitbag. And I cheated on her multiple times. The thing about my cheating was, and I felt like, again, I felt like I was being an honorable cheater, which is bullshit. Like, it's just stupid. I told every single woman that I slept with that I'm not leaving my wife. I have no intentions of leaving my wife. I'm only doing this because I'm not getting sex at home. And if you're down with that, I'm down with that. But don't get any ideas that this is going to be a carried on thing. I'm not going to tell you that I love you or any of that stuff. Like, I am with her, and that's that. So if you're down, you're down. If not, cool. I'll go my other. I'll keep looking. And so I found multiple women who were okay with that, all over throughout the entire 6 or 7 years that her and I were together. And she found out a few times, and it crushed her. And I know that all that did was perpetuate the problem, because now, even though we were having sex, but it wasn't as often or whatever, now it was just rightfully so on her part. She felt unwanted and unloved and unsexy, and like, who wants to have sex with a man that cheated on her? And so it was just this vicious, unhealthy cycle for both of us. And it was the same thing. I was trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. I was trying to chase that fulfillment of love and worth through sex. And no matter how many times I tried to fill that bucket up, the water just kept pouring out, and my life was miserable. It was a miserable, miserable existence. And all it did was just kill my self-worth and kill my love and everything else. I was a shitbag. I was shitty to her. What I did to her is unexcusable. And, there's nothing right about it. There is no good excuse for it. I am a shitbag for doing it. And eventually, even after we had landed, I would still do it from time to time. Eventually, I kind of decided that I wanted a different life. And I would always talk to her. I'd always tell her, like, this is what I'm having problems with. This is what I want to see in the relationship. And it's just like any relationship. Like, you say you'll do something and you do it for a little while, and then you just go back to where you were. And I asked her if she wanted to do marriage counseling, and it was no. We didn't really have time or money, which is understandable. And so we didn't get the marriage counseling that we needed. I didn't get the therapy that I needed. She didn't get the therapy that she needed. And so basically, at the end of the day, when you add all of that together, it just ends up in a failed relationship. And eventually, I admitted to myself that even though I have all these excuses and everything else, that I was a shitbag. And I was tired of hurting her. And I looked at my son, and I didn't want him growing up in a home with a shitbag dad who cheats on his mom. I didn't want that anymore. I didn't want that life. It was a shitty life. And that's why I'm so strong with my advice to these people and to you, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I've been there before. And I don't recall if anybody, I know one time one person caught me, and I'm not sure if that's how she found out once. It's really hard to remember. I do remember the one time she found out. It was because I left a chat window open and was discussing the last time I had sex with that person. And that's how she found out once. And, it sucks. And so I eventually ended it. I said, I need to be a man. This isn't going in a healthy way. This isn't a home that I want my son to be raised in. And I made the hard choice. to finally stop being selfish, finally stop trying to live both lives, and I decided I needed to be single. And so I ended it. And it crushed her. And it took me a while. I wish I would have done it sooner. One of my regrets was not doing this sooner. But eventually, I did apologize to her. I said the exact same things that I said here in the microphone. I was terrible to you, and I was not a good husband. I was not a good boyfriend. You deserved so much better than what I was to you, and I hope that you find it. And I hope that she has, because she deserves it. She's a very good person. She's very loving. She's very caring. She's great to my son. She was great to me, and I owned up to it. I started being honest with myself. And that's when I kind of started to adopt this honesty at all costs, because being a liar sucks. Yes, it protects you from shame. Yes, it protects you from guilt. Yes, it protects you from people finding out who you really are. But it sucks. Again, I hate to keep using the metaphor, but it's filling up a bucket full of water with holes in it. So I decided to not be a shitbag anymore. And I'm never going to excuse my behavior ever. I was a shitbag. I was wrong. And I think that's why she was okay with me sharing this to you, because her and I did, in a way, bury the hatchet. I apologized to her, and I was open and honest with her about it. And I said, I'm not giving any excuses to you. It was wrong. You didn't deserve that. And maybe this marriage could have worked out had things been different. We didn't make it because I was a shitbag. Plain and simple. I didn't get help. We didn't get help. And so me being a shitbag ended our relationship. And I think at the end of the day, it was still what's best for Landon. And that's why I can sit here and tell you, I don't have any problem with people getting divorced as long as they've gone through all that they can to get there. And then they have to stay committed, once they got through the divorce, to keeping that child's life normal and sync and as a family as they can be. And show them that their parents still love him and that they're still a family even though they're apart. And that is one of the things that I'm most proud of between her and I, is we've kept that consistency. Even though I hurt her so bad, even though she had every reason to just trash me and use my son to hurt me and everything else, she didn't do that. She made the right choice. She could have been vindictive in the unhealthy way, but she wasn't. We both stayed committed because we both loved Landon. We both love little America, and he is what's most important to us. And so we've set aside our egos, and we've set aside our hurts, and we've shown him that we love him. And we barely ever fight. We have normal fights because it's like two people trying to raise a child, whether you're with them or not. You're going to have disagreements on how to raise that child or what to do, and that's really all of our fights are. But I wish I would have gotten help sooner, because it's not like I became perfect. My next relationship, I became the shitbag who doesn't cheat, but he flirts with girls online and that kind of stuff. And then, I got tired of doing that. So then I truly adopted this full-on, I'm just going to be honest. This is what I want. This is what I expect. This is what I'm doing. This is who I'm doing it with. And if I can't say that to them before I make the decision to do that, then I'm not going to do it. And Jen knows that. Jen knows I was honest about every single thing in our relationship, for the most part. There were times where I had hiccups. There's no doubt about it. But I apologized for them. We worked it out. I didn't stay on the interstate like she did. I got off. And so, no, Jen, and no to anybody listening to this, I don't think I'm perfect. I'm the most imperfect human being in the world. And it's why I can still sit here and say, if Jen comes to me and apologizes to me in a honest, genuine manner, one of the things she said to me is that she was really, really sorry that she did this. Please just take it down. She's really sorry. She fucked up. She's like, don't blame Juan and don't blame my friends. Like, they had nothing to do with it. It was all me. And I said, one, you're only texting me this today because of the episode. And I did tell her, and I wish I would have stuck to this boundary. I did tell her that, I'm not going to, I think I already said this though, but I'm not going to go and talk to you until we have a marriage counselor to mediate, because we go around in circles. And we need somebody to tell each other, like, okay, Chris, I hear you, but you're wrong on this. Or, yeah, Jen, I hear you, but you're lying to yourself about this if you think this. And we need somebody to mediate, because what I say to her and what she says to me goes in one ear and out the other. It's just where we are. And I wish I would have listened to me saying that, but she lured me in and I got sucked in. And it's fine. She played with my heartstrings, trying to say, I really want to talk this out. Let's go get a meeting. And then one of the things she said, she stipulated, like, oh, well, if I schedule an appointment with a marriage counselor, will you take the episode down? And I said, no. If you're only scheduling an appointment with a marriage counselor with me so we could take the episode down, then you're not being genuine. You're not being honest. Like, this is just you manipulating me, you trying to get your way again. And I'm done being manipulated. And then she said, well, then I'm not trying to threaten you with it, but things are going to get messy. And that's not a threat. Okay, it's kind of like saying, I'm not to sound racist, but I'm going to say something racist. That's what you just did. And I said, if things are going to get messy, that's fine. What you did to me these last 2 months is the worst you could possibly do to me. Anything else that you do from here on out is it will pale in comparison. It won't even come close. So bring your worst. I'm ready for it. And then I told her this. I said, look, you're sitting here saying you fucked up, and you're sitting here saying that you're sorry, and all this other stuff. And I'm sitting here telling you, like, you and Juan and everybody else, whatever happens to you for the choices you made, those are on you, and they're not on me. And yet you're sitting here, you're saying you're sorry and all this other stuff, and you're trying to tell me that you're not as bad of a person as you are, but then you're telling me that the person you hurt, the person that you know that you're supposedly sorry for, the person that you know you made their life a living hell, you victimized me. You're telling that person you victimized that because they stood up for themselves and because they said, you hurt me and I'm not going to put up with it anymore to the public, you're going to threaten to victimize them again. I said, that is the sign of a shitty person still. That is what shitty people do. When they don't get their way, then they attack and they attack and they attack. And I'm just, guys, listen, I'm free now. I'm done being manipulated by her. I'm done having her trash me and having it affect me. I'm done having her say whatever she wants to cut me down and then me buying into it. I am free. And that was what I was hoping to get out of that episode. And I love it. I love every bit of it. I am free. So if you're listening to this show, and I know I said that this is going to focus on my mental health, but the reality is the show is kind of morphed into just focusing on me and how I deal with life and then how my mental health plays into that. Because the loop is brought into the fact that I have high anxiety, and when my anxiety takes off and my mind gets super focused, it sucks and it hurts and I have trouble stopping it. And so to free myself from it, this is how I'm choosing to do it. This is how I'm handling this situation in life. I am ready, guys, just as much as you are, to stop talking about her and to stop talking about this. I'm ready to move on with my life. I'm ready to get forward on with my life. I'm ready to buy a new house and talk about that and talk about new victories and talk about me hopefully getting, like, speaking engagements and everything else. So, yeah, that's what I'm wanting out of this. That is my end game. My end game is to become better and to help other people, to have people come to me and say, Chris, my husband or my wife cheated on me, and you've been an inspiration to me with how you've handled it, how you've taken the high road. And I know some of you will say, Chris, you spurting out his name and his business and her business and their business and that business is not taking the high road. I disagree. Jen told me 2 wrongs don't make a right. There's nothing wrong with a person who's been victimized standing up for themselves and saying that person right there did this unspeakable, unimaginable thing to me. That is not wrong. That is right. If that's all you want to do, if all you want to do is just be heard and say, I'm a victim, this person victimized me, and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to take it lying down. I'm not going to take it sitting down. I'm going to stand up for myself and in public say, you were wrong for hurting me. That is right. if that's all you're doing. Again, I don't want you to go and like key their car or go trash their business or go stand outside of their business and picket or post on Facebook over and over and over again. No, no, no. Don't waste your time doing that. Don't give them that satisfaction. Just say, I was the victim. That's who victimized me. This is how they victimized me, and I'm not going to stand for it, and you shouldn't either. If my ex-wife, Landon's mom, did that to me, I would say, bravo, I deserve that. You deserve to have the right to say that Chris America was a shitbag to me. And if she had a podcast right now and said Chris America was a shitbag when I was with him, I would say she is absolutely correct, because I was a shitbag to her. And I'm glad, I am so glad, guys, that I got my life around, that I recommitted myself to being a better father, I recommitted myself to being a better man, and I've recommitted myself to being a better person. And even though I hurt her so bad, I am grateful and I am lucky and I am blessed to have an ex or a child with an ex who has the heart to forgive me when I asked for forgiveness. When I came to her and said, I'm sorry. I really, really fucked up. And I hurt you in ways that I can't imagine. And if you hate me the rest of your life, I completely understand. And I don't deserve your forgiveness. And I don't deserve any act of kindness from you, because I was a shitbag and I hurt you. And that's why, if you're the shitbag listening, if you're any of those people that were involved in any of this, whether it was direct cheating or accepting or encouraging or whatever role you played in this, don't be mad at me. Don't be angry at me. You deserve everything you have coming to you, because that's how life works. When you do shitty things happen to you. That's life. That's what we teach our kids. Accept the consequences, learn from them, and grow. So all of you listening, whether you're in that core running group, whether you're Juan, whether you're Juan's wife, whether you're Jen, whether you're her best friend, whether you're the guy that I told you about, you can sit there and you can be mad at me. Or you can take the road that I did. The road where you say, damn it, I'm a shitbag, and I'm tired of being a shitbag, and I don't want to be a shitbag. And then I want you to take it a step further than what I did, because I wish I did. And you've heard me say it several times. I shouldn't have taken 35 years to get help. I can't change that, so I'm doing it now. You haven't. You've gone X amount of years, however old you are, without getting help. Or maybe you've dabbled in help. Or maybe you're like Jen and you're getting help, but you're not being totally honest with the therapist. And the therapist can't help you if you're not honest with them and you're not honest with yourself. The therapist can only help you with what you tell them. And if what you tell them is a lie, then all they're going to do is help you through that lie. And it's not going to help you at all, because it's a fabrication. It's not a reality. And you're never going to change. So my message to you, all of you, whether you are a part of cheating or not, or you encourage it, or you have a friend who's cheating, stop being a shitbag. Everyone cheats. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? A lot of people get murdered all the time, and a lot of people get raped, and a lot of people get robbed, and a lot of people get punched in the face, and a lot of bad things happen in this world, but that doesn't make those bad things acceptable. And it doesn't mean that we as a society should not try to expel that from our society, to get rid of it, to do what we can to get rid of it. And cheating is up there with them. It is not acceptable. It is not okay. There are no good excuses. I cheated on my ex because I didn't deal with my childhood trauma. However, that was an unhealthy way to deal with my childhood trauma. That was an unhealthy way to deal with myself. That was an unhealthy way to deal with my ex-wife. And that was never okay. And it's never a good excuse. I'm an adult now. I don't get to make poor choices and lean on my my abuse as a reason for doing it. No, I need to identify that the fact that my abuse is the root cause for me being a shitty person, and now I need to go handle that root cause. And I don't know what it is for Juan, and I don't know what it is for Jen, and I don't know what it is for her other friends that partake in this stuff. And I don't know what it is for you if you're the cheater as well listening to this. I don't know what any of it is. You have to find that out on your own. But it doesn't start until you admit that you're a shitbag. And I'm not saying that to judge you. I'm saying that because that's the truth. If it walks like a duck and it looks like a duck, then it's a duck. And it's not insulting to the duck that it's a duck. Okay? If you walk like a shitbag, you talk like a shitbag, you act like a shitbag, then you're a shitbag. And it's not okay. But good news for you, just like it was good news for me 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, or however long it was, you can change your life. And you can become a better person. And you can get help. And you can grow. And then you can do what I'm doing right now, and you can help others. And instead of destroying families and destroying lives and hurting other people, you can build other people up, and you can be an inspiration to other people. And you can go to other people and say, look, I know you're cheating, and yeah, like I know I've done that too, but you should change course because I've been there before, and it's a shitty life. I know what you think you're doing is right, but it's not. Okay? Just like with Jen. The whole entire time, she's been telling herself, she's been telling me, and she's been telling her friends, I'm doing what makes me happy. I am chasing my happiness. I am focused on me. I am focused on getting my life back together without you. And then here she is 2 months later with her life in shambles only because I said exactly what she did. And this is why I said in the other episode that happiness is a lie. Happiness is fleeting. Because, yes, all that shit she did with Juan, whatever it was, whatever flirting, making out, whatever other things that I don't know about that she did or did not do, all of it was fun, and I'm sure it made her happy at the time. And now her life is in shambles because she chased after happiness instead of peace. And that was my point. She chased after happiness, and now she has to deal with the fact that people know all around what she did. And Juan has to deal with it, and her friends have to deal with it because they're chasing happiness, which is a fleeting feeling. Happiness is fleeting. We can all do things that make us happy. We can do healthy things that make us happy, and we can do shit like she was doing to make themselves happy. I can get drunk. I can get high. I can snort coke. I can go get hookers. I can cheat on my wife. I can do a lot of things that make me happy that will not bring me peace. And so if any of you listening to this are chasing that type of happiness, and you're making posts like, don't judge me, or I'm chasing happiness, I'm going to do what makes me happy. Too many people try to make other people happy instead of making themselves happy. You're taking all of those quotes the wrong way. Because doing unhealthy things to chase on your happiness is not good for you, and it's not good for anybody else. If your happiness destroys the people around you, then it's not healthy, and it's not okay, and you need to stop. And you all can be mad at me, and you can attack me, and you continue to fight that fight. Like Jen and I got into a fight yesterday about this, and she wants to fight with me about me not caring about her two friends and me not caring about the employees and how I'm being vindictive and two wrongs don't make a right. And this was the other thing that got to me yesterday. She's sitting here fighting for her best friend, and she's sitting here fighting for Juan to make sure they don't get hurt. And I'm sitting here wondering, I wish you would have fought this hard for me and Landon to not be hurt. I wish you cared about Landon and I to not be hurt. And then it came to me again that for the 500th time, she's done more to protect her relationship with Juan and more to protect him and what they have and what they don't have. I don't know what it is now. I don't care. But whatever it is, she's trying to protect Juan when not a single second in the 2 months that this has gone down, she has not once ever considered my feelings or took my feelings and Landon's feelings into consideration. Ever once. And I'm over it now. And even that realization had no power to me. Because something is wrong with her. Something deep down inside of her is flawed. And I don't know what it is, and I can't help her with it. Because I treated her like a queen. And she knows it, and her friends know it. And that pisses her off because she's like, oh, you're painting yourself as an angel. You weren't perfect. No, I wasn't perfect in this relationship. And I can go into more ways that I wasn't perfect, but I'm also trying to protect you and your image on things that happen that you know what I'm talking about. If you want me to discuss those things, I can discuss those things. It doesn't matter to me because I'm here to be open and honest. But anyways, I wasn't perfect. No, I yelled. I screamed. There were times where my anxiety got high. There were times when I didn't say sorry and I should have. There was times where I was a stubborn asshole. There were times where I was, not cleaning and not doing and not living up to my expectations. But overall, I treated her like a queen, and I always had her in mind, and I always tried to help her and make her a happy and make her feel loved and make her feel like she's beautiful. I'm that guy. And I'm not going to not say I'm not that guy because I am. I'm going to be proud that I'm that guy. I'm going to be proud that I treated her better than any man ever has, and more than likely any man ever will. Period. End of story. And she should have been fighting for me and my feelings and my hurt the same way, if not a million times more, than the way that she was fighting for Juan's feelings last night or yesterday. So again, I don't know what it is you two have going on, but I wish I would have had what Juan has right now. I wish I could have been Juan in the fact that I wish you could have considered my feelings the way that you consider his. I wish that you would have fought to not have Juan's life ruined the way that I wish you would have fought for my life to not be ruined the way that you're fighting now for Juan and his life to not be ruined. I wish I could have had that. But you know what? I don't. And that's on you. And that has nothing to do with me. And that's what I want you to take from that, other people who are listening and you're thinking that I'm talking about this story. This is the message that I want you to see throughout this whole entire episode. I have victory. I have power now. I have self-confidence. All of this now comes to light that this is not my problem. This is not my fault. This has nothing to do with me. This is everything to do with her and him and her friends and that culture that they cultivate and everything else. That has something to do with them, and they need to go figure that S out. I don't have time for it. I'm working on myself. I'm buying a house. I'm building myself up. I'm doing this show. I'm doing Scout Team Radio. I'm going to networking events. I'm talking to people about, my life and struggles and everything else like that. I'm doing positive things over here. And I'm loving it. And I'm enjoying it. And I'm loving this feeling. And I'm loving this victory. That was my end game, and I'm glad that I'm finally here. Now, I'm pretty sure this is not the end of the road. Pretty sure I'm going to go through some more harder times, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to end the episode now. Went a little bit over, but that's okay. Ah, dang it. Hold on. All right. I'll try to edit that out later. Or not. Sorry, I unhooked the phone. Got to get my music queued up. If you are feeling suicidal, let's say you're any of these people who are now having their lives ruined because you've got this whole ordeal, your whole life thrown out in front of you from a person, and sometimes you're going to take it out on me, and then other times you're going to take it out on yourself. I'm here to tell you, yeah, you fucked up, and yeah, you're a shitty person right now, but it's not worth killing yourself over, whether it's you in that group or you listening on the show. I get it. You're going to want to self-loathe, and you're going to want to self-hate, and you're going to want to escape the pain that you're about to feel because of the shame and the guilt and the fact that your life is now exposed to the world. Trust me, I get it. It's a dark place. And I would suggest listening to episode 1, I was in a dark place. And I hope that you realize that even though you've messed up, even though you've made a mistake, even though it is very detrimental and you're going to go through a lot of heartache, like life is going to be hard for you for a while, it doesn't mean it has to end. And I don't want it to end. I want you here. I want you to get better. I really do. You think I'm not being sincere? I really do. Because deep down inside, I was you. I can forgive other people because I'm never disconnected from my own mistakes and my own humanity. And that is why I'm so easily to forgive other people that want it and need it and do things to earn it. Because I'm human too. And I've received that forgiveness from my ex. And I've received that forgiveness from other people that I've hurt. And one of the prayers, and I don't want to get religious, but the Lord's Prayer, that everybody glosses over and they don't really realize what they're saying. It's forgive those who trespass against us the way that or forgive us of our sins the way that we've forgiven others who have sinned against us, or something like that. But it's basically you're telling God or Jesus to forgive you. You want him to forgive you the way that you forgive other people. And if that is a meaningful prayer, a lot of you guys are in trouble if that whole God Jesus thing is real. Because if you're expecting God to forgive you the way that you've forgiven other people, ooh, you guys know who you are. You guys know the people that hold grudges. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying. You know. And I try to live my life that way. I want to be forgiven. I want to forgive those. I want to be forgiven the way that I've been forgiven those, whether it's by God or other people in my life. But like I told Jen, like I'm going to work on forgiving on her with or without her apology, but I'm not going to try to be manipulated into having a conversation with her or let her back into my life or my son's life by her just saying sorry. Like, no, there has to be some more work into it. But if you're feeling suicidal, you can reach out to me. And I told her that. I know you don't want to. I know you think I'm the reason why you're feeling all this hurt and pain right now, but I've been there. I know the roadmap of the suicidal mind. And I can help by just listening and just letting you know that I've been there before too. I'm not an expert though, so you're still going to have to get more help. You're still going to have to go get therapy. If you don't feel comfortable reaching out to me, which I get, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255, or you can call the crisis text line, you can text HOME to 741-741, or you go to suicide.org if you're not in the United States, and you can scroll down to the page, and you'll see that there's multiple different, there's a link there that you can find the different links to their hotlines in Canada, Russia, wherever. Listen, like I said, I'm not trying to make myself out to be better than anybody, but I'm not going to sit down and take, things that are wrong. I'm not going to take it from myself, and I'm not going to take it from you. And if you come to me, whether I know you or not, even if you're a stranger and you say, Chris, I cheated on my wife, I cheated on my ex, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not even going to be angry with you. I'm going to tell you some harsh truths that you need to hear, and I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to tell you, dude, you can get better, or chica, you can get better. You don't have to be a cheater your whole life. They say once a cheater, always a cheater. That's not true. You can change. Part of it's probably mental illness involved. A lot of people cheat because of mental illnesses or trauma, just like me. So get your act together. Go get help. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.